How many seasons of the Traitors have you watched? Is this like you all caught up?
Yeah, I've only watched the US. I've never watched like the British version, but yeah, I'm all caught up.
I think the
Good.
British version is way more not even reality stars. I mean, I'm sure they probably have some Love Island people in there, but I think it's like everyday people, which actually kind of makes it fun, and that's what the US did for a little bit. But
That was season
this
one,
is just
yeah.
this is just such a better format with all the people that we kind of know and a lot of gameplay.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Shooter Magooter. What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. Just I think I said it last night. 9 days till the Super Bowl. Can't get my hair cut. Getting a little long. Kind of fucking annoying, but just taking it a day at a time over here.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do for the team. But we are joined by a very, very special guest, a Philly legend, everybody's favorite influencer, the one and only Bran Flakezz is joining the bros. What's up, man?
What's up, you guys? I'm so excited to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you on finally. We've talked about it on and off. I think I reached out like last year. Our schedule got crazy. Clearly, your schedule got crazy. You're all over like the world, it seems like. But we were brought together by an incident at Fido.
I was
What are
going to
you
say
giggling about?
broadcasting live from Fido.
Yeah.
Bran Flakezz actually owns Fido now.
Yeah. This whole thing came about. I saw that you had a negative interaction at Fido involving some cheetah pants, and you just tried to get in the club. Obviously, we wanted to stand by our boys, so we jumped in the comments. I was like, fuck that. We will put on cheetah pants and march on Fido tomorrow. You let us know, dude. So glad that this worked out. And we are here to talk about our new favorite show, which is The Traitors. So how do you think this season's going thus far?
It's good. It is good. I think. Did you guys watch season 2?
Bits
Parts
and
of it.
pieces. Yeah.
Okay. Season 2, I personally thought was one of the best reality shows, like competition reality shows that's been released in the last 10 years. I thought it was just a perfect season with good gameplay and bad gameplay, which makes it entertaining, great drama, and just such an epic cast. So I knew that season 3 was going to come off the heels of something and have like a little bit of like something to prove almost. So I think it's in comparison to season 2, it's not giving me everything, but it's still such a great show. The format's so great. And I'm still loving every episode and watching it. It's the only show I watch right now. So
That's incredible. Yeah, I feel like after watching a little bit of season 2, the season 2 roundtable moments were way more iconic. There was a lot more back and forth, a lot of people defending themselves in just such a great way where you would get accused and then they would get so personal so fast. And I feel like we're getting there now after this episode where there's a lot of fucking chaos. And it's almost like a completely different show if the Traitors aren't on the same mark. So they're not they're going after each other. It's absolute chaos. And everybody thinks if you're a faithful, you're looking at this like, holy shit, the Traitors are doing such a good job right now, throwing us off. And in reality, they're trying to kill each other. So there's so many nuances to this right now that I feel like it's going to get to that point where it's so chippy and people are so mad at each other to the point where we even see in this episode, 2 people from Big Brother are accusing each other and then flipping out. And it's incredible.
Do you guys watch Big Brother?
I watched it in the beginning, but not
Way back.
in the last like 20 years. Yeah.
So Big Brother is at its peak when there's 2 sides of the house that are against each other, and every week they switch power. Like one side of the house wins. And I feel like that's kind of almost why season 2 of The Traitors was so good, because you had Peter leading this whole faithful alliance, and then you had the Traitors. And they kind of did flip power every week. Like one week, Peter was calling them out and landing his shot. And then the next week, the Traitors were recruiting somebody and getting like feisty. So I think right now, like there's no really alliances almost in this season. Like we had the Bambis, but that already kind of fell apart, which sucked.
Right.
So I think I'm looking to see like a group kind of formid together. But it is good. I'm enjoying it.
I'm curious what groups we're going to see form. I feel like a lot of people are way too far gone now. There's way too much turmoil amongst the house. I will say this: if we get one more DM or one more comment, or if my wife tells me again they're like, you just should have seen Phaedra last year. Like Phaedra was everything. And I'm like, I know. Everybody tells us.
Yeah.
You need to watch season 2.
But she's
It's
not
really
on
like-
this season.
I know.
Everyone's like, Phaedra was the best. I'm like, I believe you, but we
I
can't cover Phaedra. But no, like the more that I'm watching, and I've heard all about last season. So in comparison to that, the gameplay seems to be a lot different. And I think that it all points to this crazy turret that we have with these traitors, and it's just utter chaos. And it's almost like Boston Rob called it out of the gate, where he's like, look, we got two options here, and he wants the united front. He's like, I need a united front, or we can play the chaos game. And we came out of the gate with chaos. I had hoped that at some point along the way we would shift to now we're having like a team of traitors versus every man for themselves. And we start out this episode in the turret, and it's not that at all. Once again, we have three traitors pitted against each other. Poor Carolyn can't get a word in. Danielle, what's your thoughts on Danielle? Like, how's she doing for you?
Danielle's doing terrible, which is shocking to me because she had one of the best Big Brother games ever in her first season of Big Brother. She was completely robbed of the win. It was a crazy thing. But we saw this, sorry to bring up season 2 again, we saw this with Dan in season 2. Just because you're a good player in one game, like the Challenge or Big Brother or Survivor, does not mean that it translates, because it's a different format. So I don't think Danielle is mastering it. And honestly, I don't think Rob is doing a good job either. And what an epic start to this episode when you have Carolyn saying, there's nobody I want to murder other than you two. I was like, okay, buckle up. This is going to be an episode.
But that's the thing, dude. Like Carolyn is she's the best traitor of the three of them. And I also think that like her lack of a voice in the room, which is not her fault, is actually benefiting her, because there is nobody that is on to Carolyn except that Danielle tried to push it.
Yeah, and the down too for like the banishment, like, which we'll get to, but like I think Carolyn played the banishment like ceremony like perfectly.
I think she did. Now in retrospect, it makes a lot of sense the way that she did it. But at the time, I'm like, there's too much chaos here. You're going to get Rob taken out. And again, we'll get to that. I just love the format of this game, though, because, there's some people out there that are rooting for the faithfuls, rooting for the traitors, whatever it might be. I'm not looking at it at all like that. I'm looking at it wanting chaos. I want this to be the messiest, funniest game that I've ever seen. And then I want to get to the round table, because the round table is like the most complex situation of every episode. And you can see people spinning and spinning and spinning. And the people that are really good at it can completely flip to the other person. So you can see all those strategies just kind of come down to it. And it's every man for himself. Those are the moments that I love each episode. And then once we get back to the turret, it's like, what the fuck are we doing at this point? And I love it, because I'm not cheering for any one individual. I'm not cheering for a team. I just want utter chaos. And that's what we're getting.
I wanted to ask you guys, like, what do you think of the way that Rob talks to Danielle and Carolyn? Because I'm a little sensitive, and I kind of feel like he's a little mansplainy and a little misogynistic. I've also felt, I'm not a huge Boston Rob fan as a person. I've watched him on Survivor for 20 years. I think he had a few good runs, but I actually don't think he's as great as everybody says he is. I think he has really good skills, like what we'll get to in the banishment, but I don't think he plays the long game, which is what you need to play when you win. But I wanted to ask from a straight perspective, like, do you think he kind of sounds like a dick when he talks to them?
Yeah, he's condescending. He's intentionally condescending, as though their ideas aren't worth his time. Where he's like, all right, like even when he drops in this episode, he goes, oh, come on, ladies. I'm like, all right, dude. Like, first and foremost, the one woman that you've been ignoring the whole time, and Carolyn, seems to be the best player in this turret. So yeah, I think that it's almost like he's in the back rolling his eyes as the two women are talking to each other, just waiting to like tell them what they're actually going to do. So I fully see that.
Yeah, I feel like the way that he approaches the game too, obviously he wants to be the one pulling all the strings in the turret, but also I feel like he's there to have fun. The things that he says during the episode, it's not like he's really trying to win. It's almost like this is what he lives for. He loves the chaos. He loves to be in the midst of everything and finally getting a chance to like explain himself away and push it onto somebody else. Like he loves those moments more than he loves winning the game, I feel like. Whereas you get somebody like Wes who wants to win. He's playing the game to win the game. So is Derek. So you get all these seasoned vets coming in here just trying to win the money. And then there's Rob who's like, yeah, I've been on the show You know, this is the first time I'm on this show, but I was on fucking Deal or No Deal Island. I was on Survivor for 20 years. I don't really care anymore. I'm just here to have a lot of fun and just try to mix it up. But I agree with you. The way that he talks to all of them, even the women that aren't in the turret, he still just tries to go over and say, look at me, I'm Busta Rob. I got a backwards hat on. Come on, you got to follow me. And he doesn't really care what their opinion is. He only cares about his own game. You just turn your hat around because of that? You don't want to be typecasted?
Not Team Boston Rob. I'm not Team Boston Rob.
I will say for Carolyn, though, the way that she's playing, Steele and I talked about this last week, because she's being ignored in the turret, because they're not listening to any of her opinions, that's actually beneficial for her. Because when she walks in the next morning, she didn't want that person to be murdered the night before. So she is actually distraught. She's still pissed off the night before because she didn't get a word in edgewise. So it's working really well for her because, yeah, she's already quirky and weird and like kind of alienated. But now people are looking at her like, oh, she's actually pretty upset. She has no idea what the hell's going on. Let's leave her alone.
She's inadvertently becoming more faithful to the faithful. Because the traitors are not faithful to her. No, it's absolutely great. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and you get this conversation in the turret, this half-assed attempt to be like, look, everybody, we need to come together. This is getting outrageous. Like, can we just like start from scratch? And when Danielle says it, I don't think Danielle's playing this game well at all. I think she thinks that she's killing it only because some of the people that she has requested to get killed have been killed. But ever since Bob the drag queen got whacked, she's too emotionally invested in that. She feels scorned. She feels like she lost a friend. So she's the one that says, look, we can start over, and gives like a half-ass, I'm sorry. It was like that South Park episode, like, we're sorry. When he's saying it, Danielle's trying to apologize to Carolyn, but they come to like a loose agreement here, you know, and I didn't think it was going to stick at all. I thought Danielle was full of shit. I was hoping for Carolyn's like mental state that she would get a friend here, because she seems like she just wants an ally and can't find one. When she goes to her confessionals, I'm like, I feel so bad for you, because clearly you're on an island right here, and clearly this is not a new feeling for you either, which is sad. And at the same time, if people would listen to you, you guys would probably be moving a lot better as a unit. But instead we get this turmoil amidst the turret, and they start talking about who to vote out. And when they brought up Ivor, I'm ready for him to go like 2 weeks ago. I don't know why he's still here.
I was jumping up and down. I was like, perfect choice. Let's get him.
It made the most sense. It's like, this guy, he's not a threat. Like,
Steele loves to talk about Ivor too, because he only votes for women. And on this episode, obviously, he kind of flipped it a little bit, but he's only ever voted for women.
I hate to pull this card, but like, Boston Rob came here and said, I'm taking out every gay guy. Like, come on, dude. Now we're taking out Bob H after you went so hard for Bob the Drag Queen. Homophobic on Survivor. Like, I can just tell. And little things like that I peep, like, everyone called Bob the Drag Queen, but he would only call him Bob. It's like, I peep your microaggression, Boston Rob. I peep it.
Yeah. And the fact, like, Bob Harper holds a special place in my heart from The Biggest Loser. I loved Bob Harper. I shed a tear when he struggled to get up the hill. I was like, oh my God, it's like watching one of your heroes just kind of get a little bit older, go through life. But he had that awesome moment where he was humbled and spoke to everybody. I was like, God, I love this dude so much. And then they brought his name up. I'm like, no, why do we have to get rid of Bob H? Well, who's he hurting? But I feel like that was a misstep, only because you can kind of, that they know that Bob is a faithful, right? So you know that they're not questioning him. I feel like that's a better play to keep him around for longer, rather than get rid of him. I feel like that, again, was this chaos move that just didn't work.
I think what he's trying to set up, because I feel like Ivor would have been a good one, because they were both on to Boston Rob. Boston Rob getting implications from Bob, or from Ivor, kind of in the shadows, but Bob H is the one who called him out at the round table. So I guess the strategy at that point would have been, which sets up for the end of this episode too, if they're going to call out Boston Rob, get rid of them. Because if you're a traitor and it's not Boston Rob, it's going to look like Boston Rob killed him. And obviously you have to make sure all your ducks are in a row before you call out Boston Rob at the round table. So I think that's what he's trying to set up, but I still feel like it's going to blow up in their face, if not, at the end of this episode, but by the next.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think, and we'll get to this like more in depth, I think Rob is good at playing the round, but he's not good at playing the game. You have to understand, like, while you're taking out Bob H, who in that round was a good move for you because he came after you, that's also, you could have done that the next round. Like, you could have saved that and kind of dealt with it. That's more thinking ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that benefited him because I think Derek brought up the point, which was like, he called you out and now he's gone. Like, Rob is playing such a literal game of someone says my name and I need to get rid of them the next time. It's like,
right.
Yeah. And everyone knows that it's you. So I thought it was a bad move. I thought Ivor was the perfect choice. That wouldn't have made any waves, but they did it. So
it's, and the thing with Rob that I will give him credit for, I agree with the way he moves through the house. I'm always like, I feel like you're drawing way too much attention to yourself. You bring up very specific people that people are already going to think that it's a little suspicious because they know that those people have been talking about you. So it is a very straightforward approach. That being said, his movement, not great. But when he is face to face and pressed about these things, for whatever reason, he's able to weave together these stories. Like when we get to the round table later, at no point did I think that Rob was going to be able to wiggle out of that one. I was like, there's too much against you. You've got Wes and you've got Derek against you, which is strong. They know they're very good game players. You've got Danielle, who's going to flip in an instant because she's ready to get everybody out of the turret as revenge for Bob the drag queen. You've got all of these ducks in a row facing Rob. I'm like, there's no way. And then he gets to the round table and just starts going. And it's just like this eloquent speech. It is.
It's poetic. Yeah.
So it's like this double-edged sword of like, yeah, I agree with you. He's clumsy the way he moves, but then when he's faced with adversity, it's like, yeah, well, watch this. And he spins together this story that points the finger just enough. And every single time, one of the other faithfuls picks up where he left off and goes in on that person, then he can step back and just sit and wait. And he's done it 3 times now.
Yeah. We'll get to it. I have so much I want to say about that. But
yeah.
Well, let's get to breakfast. Let's get to breakfast. We're still in the first scene. I love the fact that people are starting to like figure out Tom Sandoval, where it's just like, this dude is just all over the fucking map. Like, he's wasting our time. He's had 70 different theories. And for those of us that watch Bravo, that were especially embedded in Sandoval, like, we've watched VPR from the jump. So I really know Tom Sandoval, but anybody that even caught up during Sandoval will understand this dude is just the biggest moron and thinks that he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
So I wish we had a montage of every scene of him like whispering in an ear. He's probably said everyone in the house is a traitor.
He's over like 12 at this point. Every one of his theories is completely wrong. He hasn't even stumbled upon potentially getting a traitor. It's so funny. And I love that he walks into breakfast too and thinks that he was going to get killed. I'm walking around. I'm telling everybody my theories. I'm expecting to get killed like right away because I'm onto them. No, Tom, you're way too chaotic. Nobody thinks that you're a traitor. You're wrong about fucking everything. You've brought up different people. 6 of them have been killed at the round table, and they're not traitors. And you're wrong about those. So we're not worried about that. And he's like offended. He's like, what? What do you mean? Well, you would think that maybe this would kind of push him back, and he wouldn't keep going with his crazy theories. No, definitely not.
I wrote down for breakfast, I just wrote a note. Tom is a walking bit. Like, that's all I wrote down. Like, at this point, he's growing on me because he's just so
same. Yeah,
he's a bit.
It's so funny to me that it took, because we have the same sentiment. We said it last week in our episode. It's like, the Tom hate train's easy to jump on, especially after everything that happened and how big a piece of shit he is. But I have jumped off of that train for this series because
so entertaining.
It's so entertaining, and you can't help but laugh, and you can't help but give him props for moving so crazily and thinking he's doing, because it's so fun to watch him stick his foot in his mouth over and over again. And not in a million years would I have thought that Traitors could potentially help Sandoval's public image. And yet here we are, because he legitimately went up, the first episode went to 2 of the traitors and said, I really trust you. I got a good feeling about you. Like, you're a fucking idiot, dude. But we watch everybody stumble into the room, and we get a lot of speculation, obviously. And Derek is 100% locked in on Boston Rob. Wes, I would say, is probably 80%. I think Wes does believe B Rob's a traitor, but he's also concerned because he knows if you swing and miss at Boston Rob, you're next. So he's weighing those options. And we find out, very sadly, that our boy Bob Harper gets murdered. I was genuinely bummed. I paused it and my wife was like walking around the kitchen. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why Bob? So then the whole room echoes the same sentiment.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was a mistake, because now you rattled up the traitors.
I thought we were locked in on Ivor too. So I was
I did too.
genuinely surprised. I really expected that Ivor wasn't going to walk in. So when he walks in, I'm like, oh, come on. Really?
I think that is my like frustration though. Sorry to interrupt you with the girls, because I'm like, fucking don't let Rob steamroll you. Like, it's 2 against 1 at the end of the day. Like, that was clearly his choice. Like, you don't have to listen to him. And that's what I don't understand, where they're like, we just have to go with Rob until he's out. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you don't have to do that.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing with Danielle, is she's changed her sentiment towards what she wants to do like 7 or 8 times. Her plan 2 weeks ago was to get rid of him as soon as possible, because he's trying to steamroll them, because he's trying to take control. And obviously Danielle wants control of the turret. That's her whole plan. And she's not going to get it because she's allowing Boston Rob to do this. So when she goes to her confessional to explain what happened the night before, she goes, yeah, we have to let Boston Rob think he's in charge. It's like, what do you mean think? He is in charge, you idiot. Like, what are you doing?
Agreed.
Especially at the end of the episode, she 100% concedes to Boston Rob. She's like, he's in power now, and like, he needs to be in power. It's like, he came into this game with this agenda. He knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to get you two out of the way so that he could make the calls and hope that you two fall in line. Carolyn is honestly the only one's trying to fight against it, but once they get to the turret, Danielle always bends the knee to Rob, and then Carolyn is left without a voice once again. And she is, I'll say it every goddamn time, she's playing the game the best way. She is trying to be pragmatic in her approach. Boston Rob is trying to get personal. He doesn't like when people go after him. It's worked out for him. And Danielle, she thinks she's being masterful in her approach. And it's like, you're naming everybody that's close to you. Like, the funniest thing to me is the fact that she goes around the house telling everybody it's Carolyn, not thinking it's going to get back to Carolyn, even though it's already gotten back to Carolyn. And then she continues to talk about Carolyn. But we get everybody discussing after Bob H. You get everyone breaking off into their factions, trying to find their group, trying to find their crew or whatever. And Tom gets pressed to breakfast. He's like, well, I do have pretty good evidence sometimes. Like, I know what I'm doing. And everyone's laughing at him. He is offended. And he goes to talk to Britney, and he's like, it's Dolores. And she's like, stop. Just fucking stop. Like, what evidence do we have? Dolores would be one of maybe 3 people that is guaranteed faithful. Like, I don't think anyone has Dolores on their radar. So, of course, Tom's throwing that out there. And Britney, you know, she's like, this is theory number 73 at this point. Like, can we just move on from this shit? But as everybody's moving, as you talked about earlier, Bran, that we're looking for teams, right? So from what you've seen, for the faithful to make a move, because they're getting the shit kicked out of them right now.
Yeah.
Who needs to come together amidst the faithful and take charge of that group?
Chriselle and Derek L, because they're on 2 separate pages. Derek is rallying, like, well, he had Wes. I feel like he's getting Dylan. He had like a good amount of people behind him, but Chriselle, I love her so much, is the past 2 times has gotten it so wrong between Nikki and then last night with Wes. And she seems to be really aligning and trusting Rob. And I think if Derek can get Chriselle on the same page, then he gets Chriselle, he gets Gabby, he gets Sierra, he gets the women. And I think that's what they need right now, because Rob, and he's done this on Survivor too, is really good at manipulating women, unfortunately. Girls feel safe with him. So I think if Derek can get Chriselle, I want to say Britney, but we'll get to Britney. She fucking did herself no favors this episode. Chriselle is still in a place where I don't think anybody thinks Chriselle is a traitor. So I think if Derek can be like, hey, Chriselle, you didn't like how Wes treated you. Now he's gone. You and I need to be on the same page. I think that is going to form the coalition that we need.
I think there's an interesting theory, though, too, going forward, where if you truly believe that Boston Rob is a traitor, but you don't want to go against him, I think you would want to align yourself with him, make him think that you're on his team, because then he'll use you as a pawn pretty much the rest of the season. And then at the end, if you know he's a traitor, you can still win. If he strings you along like a Dylan, because he even said that, I'm going to bring Dylan all the way to the end, and then I'm just going to put a knife in his back.
Poor sweet Dylan.
Yeah. But apparently they're boys and they go golfing together out in California now, so who knows? So if you're a Chriselle or you're a Dylan, you might want to think like, yeah, maybe I'll align myself with the most powerful player who's not going to come after me because he needs me. And in the back of my head, I'm like, you know what? He probably is a traitor, but he can use me till the end and then I can turn on him. So it's an interesting theory. If you don't want to stick your neck out, if you don't want to join up with a Wes or a Derek to try to go against Boston Rob, because you know that means you're next.
And there's also, I don't want to get too stuck on this, but there's also the strategy that the faithfuls can play where it's like, if you know 99% that someone is a traitor, keep them in there, because then you know if you get to that final round, you know that they're a traitor and you're going to win the show. And
exactly, yeah.
That kind of happened last season. And I think there maybe was a part of Wes, who's a very smart game player, who was like, okay, so Rob's a traitor. I already know that. Let's keep him in there, you know?
Yeah.
But he didn't say that. So I don't know. I can't give him credit for something that we didn't see, at least in that bit.
He got mixed up in emotions. That's what my biggest takeaway from this season is versus what I've heard about last season, because obviously we'll use the Phaedra example again because it's a good one to use. From what I saw from her clips and from the probably 200 people that have told us that Phaedra's the GOAT, she was able to do this without emotion clouding her judgment. She would move a certain way intentionally, and then the turret was very, very pragmatic in her approach. That's what I've gathered from her season. So I think that what we have in this, because of, and this is actually a positive for the Traitors. I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about the Traitors team right now, but I will say the one thing that the chaos theory has done for them is that everybody's kind of fueled by emotion now. Everyone's going on gut feelings. You get Chriselle talking about energy. You get other people talking about feelings. Tom Sandoval has a gut feeling about certain people. When we're talking about feelings, you're taking the objectivity out of the game. And I think that that's the one thing that the Traitors have going for them. And it's furthered when you have Carolyn sit down with Britney. And Carolyn and Britney are tight. So Britney says to Carolyn, I heard that my name's coming out of your mouth. And Carolyn legit chokes on her drink and is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What the fuck? Who told you that?
Wait, I want to point out something really quick. Did you remember last week when she was eating Cheerios?
Yeah. Oh, did she choke on those too?
She was eating with a fork.
Oh.
Right?
Is that a move? Maybe
no, it's not a move. What do you mean? Is that a move?
Maybe she's lactose intolerant and just like she likes to soften the cereal, and she can handle the fork because then it doesn't get the milk. All the milk.
How the fuck did that come to your head right away?
I don't know. I've never done that.
That's all I had. I just wanted to point that out because I was perplexed.
Maybe she has lactose intolerance and she's just thinking about her tummy. You ever think about that? Do you want to go on a mission if you're lactose intolerant and you just had a dairy product? It'd probably not be very fun running through the woods trying to hold in. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's an explosive thing. Am I right?
Oh God, we're discussing the important things now. So that's good. That's good. But Carolyn and Britney, once again, let's get back there with the Danielle stuff, because this leads to a lot more. This loose agreement that we had reached in the turret is now null and void because Carolyn's all right, you're still coming after me, which I figured would happen. So now Carolyn has a vendetta against Danielle, who has a vendetta against both Carolyn and Rob, but her vendetta against Carolyn is only so that she can get to Boston Rob. So this convoluted, crazy plan that Danielle's trying to weave together makes no goddamn sense. She has no real friends. I don't either. We're going to take out Carolyn to get a faithful on my team to take out Boston Rob. But then you have to gamble.
Does she think that she's the only one that's going to be able to tap a faithful? Like she's going to be like, hey, Boston Rob, let me get this one. Let me get a faithful that I trust. It's like Boston Rob's not going to let you do that. Why would that make any sense?
No, I have no idea. I think that's where her biggest misstep is that she thinks that she's doing this master plan. And yet every time she comes out with her plan, who does she have on her team? Let's talk about like the whole faithful group, the Traitors, everybody in that house. We know that Boston Rob has an in with Dylan. We know that a lot of people trust him because of what he did with Bob the drag queen. Now, we also know that drew some skepticism, but he has some people that are faithful in him. Carolyn has a whole army of people because of the fact that she hasn't had a voice this whole time and is genuinely upset when we find out who gets murdered because that's not her choice. So she's got a lot of people that are on her team. Does Danielle have any support in this house at all?
Doesn't Dylan like Danielle? Didn't they have that whole moment in the secret room where he was like, I trust? But then
but didn't she? He's skeptical on her now.
Yeah, she fumbled that when she did the Carolyn thing. And I mean, Dolores was like, oh, I'll be sad if Danielle gets murdered, but I don't think Dolores is going to sway anything.
Dolores is sad when anybody gets murdered.
Yeah. So no, I don't think she does.
No, and I think that's the biggest hole in her plan is that you need some support and you don't have any support. And her whole goal of let's say her plan works. Carolyn's dead. We tap a faithful to become a traitor. Why would they be on your team when they get in the turret? Why wouldn't they lean towards Boston Rob, who's calling the shots already? Now you just have another person against the both of you. But let's get to the mission. We got 20 hidden crates. They're number-based questions, which immediately I was like, "Fuck, I would probably not be good at this one." I think I would have been fine.
Yeah,
no, I thought it was math, so I was like, "Oh shit!" But we got to collect gunpowder, 1,500 pounds of it. We got to collect $30,000, and there's 3 shields. And my immediate thought at the shields, I was like, traitors need to be gunning for the shields right now if they want to protect themselves, because it's now at a point where they are all under scrutiny. So I was like, they're going to be gunning for shields.
I wrote down Danielle makes her first smart move of the season by letting Carolyn take the shield, but also saying, don't tell anybody you have it. I thought that was the first time Danielle not only supported her fellow traitor, she also, I thought, acted well in that scene as like a desperate faithful of, you can have it, but don't tell anybody.
Right.
That was the first time I've seen Danielle in this game do something that made sense. So there's the one compliment I'll give for this whole entire.
There we go. And I love that Tom was pissed off that she got it too. He's like, "Whoa, what the hell? We didn't talk about it. She just reached in and grabbed it."
Tom goes, "Do you mind? Do you mind?" It's like, dude, everybody wants the fucking shield. So yeah, she probably does.
Nobody thinks you're a traitor.
No, that's the funniest part is Tom thinks that he's so smart that he's like, everyone's got to be on to me at this point. It's like they all think that you're a faithful and the dumbest one. And they said it in the breakfast. The traitors are keeping you around because you're so chaotic. Like you're the best. You're the best tool they have. Dolores says it the best later when she calls him a bad faithful. And that's just as bad as a good traitor. And it's like, arguably, because he's skewing everybody's thought process. But we get through everything and the shields go 2. We got 1 for Carolyn. We got 1 for Dylan, and we got 1 for Chriselle after a little Rochambeau, a rock, paper, scissors, shoot. So those are the people that got protected. I think that, like Boston Rob, is it too obvious for him here to go for a shield? Would that call too much attention on him?
No, I don't think so, because I think if you're playing that game of somebody's trying to set me up, he would want to try to go for a shield. Because if he gets a shield, then it's like, you know what? You're not going to know, but I'm going to have a shield. Everybody in this group is going to say Rob had the shield. So that's why he's alive today. But at the same time, if the traitors were to go that night and try to kill Boston Rob, that means everybody's going to walk in. There's no secondary thing. So it really does. It kind of goes back and forth. That's what I'm saying. Like this game is so nuanced that you don't know what's going to happen. So maybe it's better for him to not get a shield.
That's what, if I was Rob, what I would have said was that there's no way in hell the traitors are going to kill me, guys, because you keep throwing my name out there. So I want to be faithful to y'all. One of you guys needs it more than me.
I think that makes sense.
More faithful and for the faithfuls, but Rob is too cocky to play like
that. 100%. Yeah. And I think that the other traders are banking. Oh, not the other, but Danielle, I think, is banking on that. I think that Carolyn is just waiting to see. She's seeing where the chips may fall, and then she's already geared up on Danielle. After hearing from Britney that Danielle is still coming after her, like her sights are clearly set. So I thought that her getting the shield was genius. I agree with you. That was Danielle's one good move to support her in that moment. Which is even funnier because she thought like, oh, now me and Carolyn are cool. And little does she know she's about to get put in the crosshairs when they get to the round table. And you even see it like on the ride back, the tension between Carolyn and Danielle in that car, like Danielle's like side-eyeing her like, oh shit. And Carolyn's just ready to get to the round table because she's ready to spill some blood. But I need to talk about this because I don't really like Sam to begin with. He bothers me for some reason.
What did Sam do to you?
Because nothing.
You don't like Britney Spears?
I love Britney, and like I don't hate Sam.
That's
I want
fair.
Yeah, all right. This motherfucker says he hates brownies. Who the fuck?
That's fair. Yeah.
What do you mean? There's
too much chocolate.
There's too much chocolate. What? I don't care if you have a 13-pack. You're not going to enjoy a fucking brownie. That's insane. So yeah, I really don't like him now because he doesn't like brownies. I don't understand why you don't like brownies.
Where would the 13th ab be, by the way? Would it be on the top or the bottom?
I don't know. That's a good
Or
question.
right in the middle. Right in the middle. So you got 6 on either side, and then you got 1 right in the middle.
It's like your belly button turns into an ab. That's the
belly
13th
button ab.
Yep,
Dude.
that's where it comes from. But anyway,
right.
let's get back on task here because I could talk about that for a while. I was upset that he doesn't eat brownies, but Wes tells Dolores about Tom's theory, and we get Shooter made a sticker out of it already. It's just Dolo's head, and it says "fucking Tom Sandoval," which is the best thing you'd say. Yeah, this fucking idiot keeps calling Dolores out, and she's not even rattled by it in the moment. She's like, "Yeah, that's fine." Nobody believes him, and she, without really knowing Tom, explains him perfectly. She's like, he shoots himself in the fucking foot. I guess he does time and time again. And he didn't get enough attention when he was younger. I was like 1000%. You way too you diagnosed him perfectly. But you get everybody chit-chatting before we get to the round table. And there's a lot of theories being thrown around, but it appears that the main names are coming out. Derek and Ivar are talking about Boston Rob. Derek had to lead him there a little bit. Boston Rob, Tom, and Gabby throw out Wes, saying Wes is putting a lot of names out. And Wes's biggest misstep in this game, once again, emotion led because he's too aggressive. He's too strong with how he comes into conversations. And I thought that last week that it's more that he just takes command of the conversation and points at one person. And for me, that's red flag behavior.
Yeah. I have an interesting theory, and I don't like to throw out the conspiracies, but like Wes, his biggest rival in challenge history was Johnny Bananas, and there was like one season where him and Johnny like went toe to toe after a year-long rivalry, and he kind of let Johnny have it, like he kind of let Johnny win. And I feel like Wes plays a showman more. In the past like 5 years, I think Wes went from really going hard in these games and wanting to win to kind of being more of a showman and kind of almost like, if the producers want me to do this for good TV, I'll do it. Because I think Wes definitely knew Boston Rob was a traitor, and I think Wes definitely knew how to play it. But I almost feel like he purposely buried himself because he wanted like good TV. I don't know. That is my own theory.
It's a possibility,
Who's watched Wes since 2005, like when Wes started the challenge series, he was so cutthroat, so villainous, like so smart. And just the past 5 years, he's not been the same on TV. And he's kind of alluded to the fact that he's so freaking rich and he doesn't really care. I think he was there for fun. And I don't think he really gave a fuck about Boston Rob being a traitor. I think he was just like, all right, if that's it, it's what it is.
Yeah.
We've posited the theory of how many people came to this show, because this is similar to, Bravo has some spinoff, like one-offs, like the Ultimate Girls Trips and things like that, where there's smaller shows and it's almost like a limited release, and people use these to try to catapult them onto like another show. So we have posited the idea that some people are on here for performance reasons to show that they still have it, to try to vie for a spot on another show. So I'm not sure if Wes needs the street cred to get back on anything else, but to support your theory, if he wanted to come in and cause a little bit of a scene, cause a little bit of a stir, give us an iconic moment with the fuck you everybody and walking out of the place, that definitely could have been. Yeah, like that. He wanted that moment.
It was hard when he was doing that. Like he was so excited. I was like, all right, fuck off, Wes. Like go walk out.
Yeah, no, he did. I mean, we can get to the round table right now, and
let's do it.
I love that Dolores starts it out and just calls out Tom. I think that she's needed to speak up at some point, because we know Dolo from Real Housewives of New Jersey, and we know that at a certain point, if you activate Dolores, she's going to fuck you up. Like, you don't mess with her. And so we've been waiting for the other side of Dolores to come out when you push her too far. And I was hoping that this will be enough to, because we've seen glimpses since we got rid of all the other housewives, since we had a vendetta against housewives, which is a sin, because Dorinda should still be on this show. We missed out on so many things by losing Dorinda early. So I think ever since she felt isolated with losing her crew, she started to get into the game more and more. And I think that this was the final push that she needed to show everybody that no, Dolo should not be trifled with. She can hold her own. So I'm hoping that's what this does for her. But
I love the way she did it too, because I actually don't think she was emotional. I think she said, go ahead. She said, go ahead. You can say what you want. It's not going to make sense. And I don't think you're a traitor, but per what Bob the drag queen said, I think you're a bad faithful, which is just as dangerous. No emotion, simply logic, just being like, bro, you're causing chaos and diversions when there's actual traitors in the room. So I don't think you're a traitor. Calling you out, dumb move. Say what you want. Your theory's bullshit. I don't think you're a traitor, but you're fucking everybody over. I loved the way she did it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like in a different setting too, where like obviously we walk into this, and this is probably the most chaotic of all the roundtables that we've had because everybody's trying to get on their own personal vendettas. Her going after Tom was funny to start off with, and obviously we got to get down to business. Derek just completely cuts Tom off. He's like, "I'm not going to fucking listen to this. We're not going to spend 10 minutes with you and Dolores going back and forth. Neither of you are traitors. We're not doing this. I got an agenda that I have to get to, and it's Boston Rob. Shut up, Tom. We're done with all your stupid theories." And I do think that if this was just a random roundtable where nobody knew what was going on, it's an easy, all right, everybody look at Tom. He sucks. He keeps going with these theories. Let's get him the hell out of here so we can be done with them. But in this roundtable, there's so many different things we have to talk about. So it's bad timing, but obviously getting Dolores activated is funny. And it puts a seed in other people's heads moving forward. Let's get rid of Tom at some point, guys. He's annoying as shit. We have to get rid of Tom at this point. So eventually we might get there. But right now it's just funny because Tom's sweating and he's stumbling over his words and he's talking about how hard it is to do this. It's like, this is the first time you've spoken up since you went crazy after the blindfold scene. And now you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. Let's get rid of Tom. We got to be done with them.
Is the best move from the traitors to murder Tom so that people think that he was onto something with one of his crazy theories?
No. I posited the theory that maybe you bring Tom on as a traitor because he's fucking crazy.
That would have been
and
so
nobody's
funny.
gonna look at him. Everyone's gonna be like, shut up, Tom.
Wait,
and then if they finally
him.
if you tap him, then it's like, wait, we don't know anything. Because if he goes out in the next roundtable and everybody just kind of gets onto him, and even like Boston Rob just kind of like throws him to the wolves, that would be really funny if they find out he was a traitor and nobody knows what the hell's going on. So I think that would create chaos if he did it. But the problem is Tom is not very reliable. So the second that he gets tapped, his whole personality is going to change and they're going to know.
So bad.
I think there's something there, though. What if
I think there is something there.
You bring him on to sacrifice him, because then you would bring him on, and then the remaining two traitors would go around saying, "I think it's Tom, actually." And then if they vote him out, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, how did we not see it?" And then they have no idea who the traitor. Oh yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. But Derek goes. He gives his spiel, and it was good. It was pretty solid. His case against he definitely tapped into his detective a little bit. You know, he's turning around. He's like, and this fucking guy back here, he put him there in the cages. Everyone's looking at us, and so he does this whole thing. He likes my accent. Thank you very much.
You could have used that for Boston Rob too, by the way, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, wait, I thought that was Boston Rob. I was like, wait.
No, Boston.
No, that was Derek. See, it wasn't that good.
Derek was the Bronx. Boston Rob would be more Boston.
I love Carolyn. Rob the drag queen.
Yeah. Bob, I don't know what's going on here anymore. Everything's crazy.
Yeah, he calls out Rob perfectly. I wrote this down. Derek calls Rob out perfectly. Rob is playing a see-through game, but Rob backs it up great and diverts to Wes. Good strategy, but what's the long game? And that's what I say, because here's where it's hard to be a traitor. Okay, you get the votes on Wes masterfully. Good for you. You survived the round. But you know in the back of your mind that Wes is not a traitor. So he's going to go up there, and when they get that wrong, they just got Nikki wrong, and now they got Wes wrong, and your name was an option at both.
Yep.
If I was Rob last night, I would have played more defense and less in a way of like, it's Wes, and more of a, bro, it's not me, you're wrong, without pushing it so hard. I guess he kind of had to, but we'll talk about what I think he should do next in order to survive. But I don't know. I'm glad for him that he survived that round, but this happened in season 2. Sorry to bring it up again, Steele, but
no. I don't mind the reference to season 2. It's just everyone's like Phaedra.
Come for Dan really hard, and he's able to divert it to Janelle. Janelle goes home, but then when Janelle reveals that she's faithful, you know that Dan's next episode, and the next episode. And I think that's what's going to happen with Rob.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think that I think you kind of said this too. I don't think he really had a choice, and I feel like going after Wes before Wes gets the chance, because you know that Derek and Wes are aligned. They've been talking, and Wes is going to go next. But as soon as the finger is pointed at you, if you're Boston Rob, you don't go back at Derek because that makes you look guilty. You bring in somebody else who you know is going to come after you as well. So if he goes to Wes, Wes is still going to give his spiel. Wes is still going to give his case. But if you beat him to the punch, then it looks like he's returning fire, and that makes him look guilty. And you already know, and you've already said this, Boston Rob's able to manipulate all the women at the table. So as soon as that happens, you know that Chrishell and Gabby and Sierra are all going to start looking at Wes and being like, yeah, you're kind of an asshole. And Boston Rob has a point here. So it makes him look guilty right away.
We have to talk about it if we're ready. Wes, in the same sentence, says, I'm going to dial it back, but I'm coming after every single one of you, specifically the women. And that is where I have a hard time believing that that is Wes, because Wes has done these types of vote outs for years. He knows at this point, he's a vet, that you don't say that to somebody when your name is in the hot seat. That's when you play coy and you're like, I'm sorry for being a dick. Like, let's move forward together. Yeah. So I just thought it was like almost too sus how bad he was playing in that moment. But whatever, c'est la vie. When he said that, I was like, all right, now you're done, bro. You just gave Rob the win. You could have saved yourself. And the fact that he lost by one vote, like, dude, I don't think Rob won that round table. I think Wes lost it. I think Wes.
I agree.
Yeah. And also, Wes just did the same thing that Sierra was getting shit for 2 episodes. When Sierra went into that coffin and she said, I'm coming after all the traitors, everybody went after her saying, well, why would you say something like that? So why would Wes then do that after seeing it? That was kind of peculiar to me.
100%.
Maybe Bran Flakezz' theory is true.
Maybe be.
He was just here for a good time, not a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't go the way Wes wants it to. And like you just said, as soon as he said, I'm coming for you, it's like, I literally wrote down woof. Like, what are you going to do now? Like, you just played directly into Boston Rob's hand. He knew, he was hoping you would do this.
This isn't fucking Survivor. Not that he even played Survivor. He's from the challenge, but it's like, you don't just vote off people who are coming after you. You're trying to go after the traitors. So it's like, that's not threatening to be like, I'm coming after you. Okay, but that just makes you like a bad faithful. Like, you need to be a united front. It was just piss poor gameplay. And then Carolyn.
Carolyn, look, I don't hate the move because it tells Danielle, fucking knock this shit off. Like, I'm done with it. I'm not taking this shit anymore. It tells Boston Rob that she's no longer going to sit back and just let them play the game. I like that she stepped up here. I thought that she actually had a good argument. The problem is the timing in which she said it, because the evidence was already so damning against Rob and against Wes. I think that a lot of people's minds were already swayed that way. But I do think that she brought up a lot of really good points about Danielle.
I think I honestly think I don't think it was intentional, but I actually think for her, it worked out perfectly. One, I thought it was amazing that she made it personal and was like, I've always been the weird person and you've made me feel comfortable and now you backstab me. I thought it was so genuine and great because no one's ever going to think those two are now working together as traitors. And I actually don't think it was a bad move for Carolyn. And I'm skipping ahead a little bit because I think for her to go even further, if her and Rob team up next episode, which is what I think the best move for Rob is now, if he puts the heat on Danielle, I think that's the only way Rob can get out of this. Then they get rid of Danielle. They get another traitor that's hopefully good for Carolyn. Rob's already in the sus. He's going to go. At that point, you're like already at like probably final 6 or final 7. And Carolyn's hopefully sitting there with one other traitor that they've recruited that has her.
Tom Sandoval.
Yeah. So I think Carolyn played it perfectly. I think it was great that she voted for Danielle and not for Rob, because I think Rob's now going to trust her more. And I think right now Carolyn and Rob needs to use each other. So I think it was great. And I actually think it was great that Danielle voted for Rob, because I think once again, that makes it seem like if the 3 of them would just actually be like, you know what, fine, we can fucking hate each other. But like, let's let that work in our benefit rather than being like, no, we're literally going to kill each other. Like, hate each other. That actually makes it better in terms of no one's going to think the 3 of you are actually a team at all.
Yeah, because then when you get voted out and you're a traitor, nobody's going to look and say, whoa, who are they cool with? Who are they on the same team with? Because they hate each other. So they don't have that rapport at that point. But I do think it's really funny for this particular round table. There's so many wasted votes. There are
Yeah.
so many like crucial votes that could have gone either to Rob or to Wes, and instead you get Dolores voting for Tom. Tom vote. I think did Tom vote for Dolores or no? He ended up going for Rob.
Tom voted for Rob. There was only
Yeah.
2 votes that were not cast for Wes or Rob. I always write them down.
And then
who
Carolyn goes
votes
right
for
after
him.
Danielle too, and it's
But
just
that was
so
a good
funny.
move.
But like, and it works for it works for Carolyn too, because she just took this time to go after her, and she's like, I don't give a shit if I'm wasting my vote. I'm making my point right now. That makes her look like a faithful because she's so upset. And it just works in everybody's advantage, but it takes away these other votes that could have been crucial to the 2 that were actually getting the most votes.
It makes her look sweet and wounded and too emotional to ever be a traitor. It's perfect for her.
It was a great play, and it's one of those moments that Danielle's probably kicking herself if she's thinking this one through and going, "Fuck, we could have had Rob if I was able to get Carolyn on my team like I wanted originally." Your plan would have just worked if you 2 had cast your vote for Rob. If Carolyn had cast her vote for Rob, now it's a tie at the very least. I'm not even sure what they do in a tie scenario. I've never seen the tie.
Yeah, I don't know either. Do you know what they do, Bran Flakezz?
Who? Oh, no, I don't.
For ties?
I would assume they would make the 2 people who didn't vote for Wes and Rob vote for either Wes or Rob. So they get Wes.
Yeah.
I write down, what the fuck, Britney? And Britney. I love Britney. She is one of my favorite Big Brother players, but Britney is what I call a confessional mobster. She's hilarious in the confessionals. She's got this fun, witty banter when she's telling Sam with the brownie thing, like, do you have any joy in life? But she's never been a good game player. In fact, she was probably one of the most played people. She is making me so mad when she's like defending Rob for no reason. She didn't even play on Rob's show. She should be riding with Derek. And we'll get to that like conversation at the end. But like her saying to Dylan so publicly, like, Dylan, no, like, shut the fuck up, Britney.
No.
Get off the chest.
No, I 100% understand. And yes, she is extremely likable. And yes, I'm going to steal confessional mobster because that's a great term. Yeah, she's delightful. Like, she is an entertaining player on this show. But when it comes to these moves, it's like, yeah, she's not making the best choices here. And we get to that conversation with Britney and Derek. But right before that, I need to point out, and this, like, Danielle's got to go down as one of the worst traitors to play this game, because she's like, in a confessional, you're really going to go after another traitor? It's like, dude, you just voted for Rob. What are you talking about? You've been gunning for traitors since you started because Bob the drag queen got whacked and you took it personally. Like, that's your whole game. You haven't gone for a faithful yet. So for her to say that shows you that she's got this distorted view of what she's doing in this game. But anyway, we get Britney and Derek, and she pulls Derek aside. And again, too many players in this show. I think everybody on this show, other than a select few, are playing with too much emotion, because she pulls him aside and goes, "You're a dirty scumbag liar." And
she was joking at first. I think there was a smile
I didn't think
there.
That was a joke.
I don't think it was a joke, but she was smiling at it. Like, it was like a sly little, like, oh yeah, you're a dirty scumbag liar. You didn't tell me.
Yeah, her saying, "Walk up to me, I need to yell at you." I do think Britney trusts Derek, and I don't think Britney thinks Derek's a faithful. I think she thinks that Derek kind of duped her. But I see where Derek's coming from, because Britney, like he said, she's known this guy for 3 days, is riding so hard, and Derek is seeing it from the perspective of, oh, Britney's a traitor. And sorry to bring up season 2 again. This is what happened last season with Dan and Parvati, because everyone knew that Dan was a traitor, and because him and Parvati were so close, they knew Parvati was too. The only thing is, Britney's really not a traitor. She's just playing so badly that she really doesn't seem like a sneaky traitor right now.
She's drawing unnecessary attention on herself.
She had no target on her back until she started doing that.
Because like everybody says that too. It's like, well, Britney doesn't really speak up. Britney's kind of flying under the radar, and it's like she speaks up a little bit here and there now, and now she's drawing attention to herself in a negative way. But Derek and Dylan sit down to talk about it, and they're both discussing Boston Rob. But Dylan, as we know, after the termination of Bob the drag queen, now Dylan is team Boston Rob, and I think Boston Rob knows that. So when Derek brings it up to him, I was a little curious how that was going to play, and if we're going to see that in the next episode. I have a feeling that Dylan is going to go to Rob and say, "Hey, just a heads up, Derek has been floating your name out there."
Which at this point he knows.
Yeah, he doesn't have
he
to
knows
do that. Yeah.
He knows that for sure. But I'm just curious, like at some point, and I talked to Shooter about this a lot as we've done these episodes. I feel like the gameplay, you can't have the same game plan for more than like an episode or two. At some point, you have to shift.
It's a long game, yeah.
Yep.
Right. And I've yet to see a move that's going to give anybody longevity. And I'm curious. I feel like we need Boston Rob. If Boston Rob's going to, I don't know how he's going to get through next week. I think that after Wes is gone, all signs point to him.
This is what I would do if I was Boston Rob. Do I think Boston Rob is capable of doing this? I don't know, because he seems like he won't give up being in charge, which his hubris will be his downfall. If I'm Boston Rob, kill Ivor tonight. He's should have made the kill last week. He's a number for Derek. He's a faithful. You lose no points on that. You don't make it obvious. If he tries to kill Derek, it's so obvious. It's perfect. Kill Ivor. Fuel the rivalry between Carolyn and Danielle and take a step back. You're in the hot seat. He can literally announce, be like, I know everyone like thinks I'm a traitor. I just want to be a good faithful. I want to help you guys win the mission. And on the sidelines, fuel Carolyn and say, we got to get Danielle, and fuel Danielle and say, we got to get Carolyn. Let those two blow up on each other. Let Danielle get taken out, because we've already established that's likely the way the votes would go. And then everyone will be so happy that they got a traitor in Danielle. It might make them take a deep breath and be like, okay, maybe it wasn't Rob. That is how, that's the only way Rob survives next episode, is if they throw the heat on Danielle and he fuels that and takes a step back. Do I think Rob's capable of doing it? No, I think he's going to get up there in the turret, bully them into making another bad move, and I think he's going to be a cocky son of a gun, and I think it's going to get him.
He's been very consistent with, I'm going to take out the people that are threats to me. So I think he's going to push hard for Derek, and he's going to spin it in a way that, look, they got rid of Derek, and now I'm still here. They want me to get voted out at the next roundtable. They're putting it on me. They're trying to make me look guilty. And it might work again for another roundtable, but it's not going to last that long. So he has to start spinning it into the long game and basically just taking a step back, like you said. Put it on them. Put it on somebody else, and then just take a step back. He can't be the one leading the charge anymore, because it's the same thing that he said about Bob the drag queen. Who's the one who's stepping up? Who's the one who's commanding everybody at the round table, at the missions? It's always Bob the drag queen. And then it worked. It's the same thing for him now. So you need to take a step back and stop being the voice of reason.
Yeah. The traitors do well when they don't command. That's why Phaedra went as far as she could in season 1. Suri did, and why Carolyn is doing well. Yeah. Your traitor job should be, I'm safe. I just need to make sure, like, I'm safe during the night because I can't get murdered. I need to make sure I'm safe during the day and not make too many rounds. Let the bad faithfuls be bad faithfuls and fuck themselves. And he's incapable of doing it, I don't think. I think he is. I don't know if it's a good or a bad move to take out Derek, because he could really sell it as, they're framing me. It's so obvious, you guys. And I think maybe, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think someone like Chrishell would believe that. Love her to death, but I think she would buy into that. I think Gabby might buy into it. But I don't know. If I was him, I would go after Ivor. I think that's the move.
I think so too.
I'll play devil's advocate here. So I agree. I agree with everything that you guys said. That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, let's say that Boston Rob, who's been playing these types of games for a very long time, finally has a change of game plan in the turret. All right. And he does try to play it a little bit differently, other than going after those that are going after him. I think the best move here is to talk Ivor and get rid of Ivor the next day, or you go after somebody that Danielle's been close to. And I think the goal now would be to frame Danielle and get her out of the turret, because when you bring in another traitor, I think Boston Rob and Carolyn can get on the same page. I think that they need somebody to fall in line with that. So I think Ivor's the easy choice here, because you can do that without a lot of finger pointing anywhere. He's such a castaway that I don't think you're going to raise a lot of red flags. But I think that as soon as that happens, you need to start planting seeds about Danielle. My only issue with the thought process of Rob stepping back is that he has so much heat on him now because of who's been killed. And he has every single week stepped up to talk, point fingers. If he now pulls back after all this heat's on him, I think that's going to draw more attention. So he's in this weird middle ground. But that was my whole thing coming into this week. I was like, there's no way that Rob can spin a narrative to get out of this. He's got to go. And he did.
He's fucked. I think he's fucked. I really don't. That's why I said it's like, kudos to you. Like, people in my comments were like, what do you mean he's playing bad? He just masterfully got out of these 2 banishments. That's not getting him. There's 13 people left. You've got a big gap. It's not good. He's not like great. He's not making money by making it an episode further. He's still going home. Like his death is there. So honestly, I agree with you, Steele. Maybe his best strategy is to 10 toes down on Danielle and say, you know what, fuck it, it's Danielle. I just think
he's a liability.
Yeah. I think that's a good way. I think he go either way with it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you are a traitor in that turret, I would think that Danielle, the way that she's moving so chaotically, would be a liability to the rest of the team. I don't think that she's supporting anyone. And that takes us to the end of the episode in the turret. And obviously it's awkward as shit. And it's just chaos. Like nobody likes anybody. Everybody wants to kill each other once again. And Danielle lets slip why. This all started because Bob the drag queen was killed. And she points that out. My paranoia started with Bob the drag queen. And Rob's like, look, he came after me. And his logic is, you don't think he did?
No, I think that Rob is being homophobic. No, really, I think that was so dramatic. And I think that was Rob's downfall. Like, he is yelling at people for doing honestly what he did. Like, I feel like he's getting mad at people for being paranoid about little things. He's like, he wants to mansplainer, being like, y'all are not focused. Like, no, you're focused on little shit. Like, no, you're the biggest drama queen in the fucking turret, Boston Rob. You heard one under the breath comment from Bob the drag queen and decided in fucking episode 4 you're gonna go after another traitor. Way too early. You did it way too
we said,
because your hubris is out of control. Your ego's out of control. You wanted everybody to suck your fucking dick after the round table because you got a traitor. You did it so aggressively that it was like, how would you know someone's a traitor that solid proof unless you're another traitor? You're playing a survivor game. You are an idiot. Danielle, you're a fucking dumbass too. Sorry, I'm cussing a lot, but like I'm getting passionate here.
We cuss way more than this. So.
It's true. Like, I do think that was a huge blunder, and I thought it was drama. He could have brought it up to the turret, let Bob kind of say that thing, go after somebody else, and then the turret that I'd be like, Bob, what happened today? You made a comment. I want to make sure we're on the same page. That really, and honestly, same thing with Carolyn. Like, I'm not giving Danielle any credit. I don't think Danielle floated Carolyn's name out once that day. She had just the day before done it so much.
Yeah, it just catches up. Yeah.
But Carolyn also could have played that and been like, Danielle, you didn't, I don't know if you threw my name out there today, but I now heard from 2 more people that you were throwing it out yesterday and you really fucked me. But I kind of am on Carolyn's side with this. Get Danielle out. She's playing so bad. It's only helping. But Boston Rob, I agree with Danielle. I think that was a piss poor move. Him saying, he lied straight to Danielle's face. He was like, that wasn't premeditated. I didn't know until I got there. No, you had a plan and you didn't let your co-traders in. And now you want to preach it. He's a hypocrite and he's a misogynist. I hate him. I hate Boston Rob.
Hey,
that's fair.
You're not wrong on any of that evaluation because that we both said, like, there's absolutely no reason to remove a traitor that early because it's just going to cause more chaos. And that goes back to the United Front thing. That's the funniest thing if you want to talk about hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Boston Rob's initial plan, he's like, we need to be a united front. And yet Boston Rob's the one that continues to throw chaos in the mix because, like, the whole thing with Bob the drag queen mentioning the 3 newcomers, first and foremost, no one else isn't thinking that already. They're assuming that somebody that came into the game is going to be a traitor. We're shocked that nobody was like, oh, well, we banished Rob first, so he's probably coming for us now.
Until Derek said it tonight.
Yeah. I was like, it seems so obvious.
And like I said, I think it's better when the traitors look like they're not a united front. If I'm in the turret, I'm literally telling the other traitor, vote. If my name comes up tomorrow, as long as you don't think it's the majority, throw me a vote. Let's not look like we're one together. But these people are not playing smart. I think this is the dumbest cast we've seen so far of the 3 seasons. I can't tell you one person that I think is playing really good right now. I think Derek is playing good in the sense of I'm getting the traitors, but same thing. He's going to get murdered eventually. So that's not playing to win. Carolyn, I guess, is playing the best.
I would say Carolyn's the best. Yeah. She's the best right now.
Whether she means to do it or not, it doesn't really matter because she's forced into that position because of the other traitors.
Well, because she feels so alienated and isolated, and it's clearly something that she's dealt with her whole life. As she says, like, I've always been the quirky one. So it's now, because it's personal for her, it takes on a different image of what it means when it's personal for Danielle, because it's personal for Carolyn, and she feels discarded once again. So now you can literally feel her emotions as she's going through this, and like everyone in that house does too. So they are also on Carolyn's side, where it's like, she's clearly on the up and up. So she has the upper hand, I think, on everybody. And I think that if Boston Rob wants to try to make it work in this game and wants to have a different approach, he's going to have to let Carolyn speak her mind, get involved. I don't think he has it in him to let that happen. I think he needs to control the turret. But I fucking love that we end the episode with Carolyn going, we're just got to go after Danielle now, to her face. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yep.
Like, let her know.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
That shit, that was such a good way to,
It was a great episode, truly.
It was a really great episode.
It was really good. Probably the best episode thus far.
I agree with that. Agree. Yeah. It was the most drama. It was the most, like, the gameplay is still too erratic for me. I need some more concise decisions going on. And I think that eventually, this chaos theory, as I like to call it, it will not work after a certain point. And I think once we get down to a new traitor, maybe 2 new traders, can you tap in 1 new traitor, correct? So I think that when that happens, that's going to shift everything. And I think the decision that they make on who they bring in is going to decide the game. That will be the deciding factor, because they need to pick somebody that throws it off. And we got questions from our audience for you, Bran, to go through. But before we do that, I want to ask you got to go at 12. So we'll ask you one question. All right.
Okay.
Here's my question from me. If you were going to tap a traitor, who are you picking from the Faithfuls?
That's tough. Shit. Maybe Dylan.
I like Dylan. I think Dylan's a good one. Yeah.
Because he's also not causing a bunch of,
not causing a bunch of chaos. He's smart enough, I think, to play the traitor card. And I think he'd be helpful, especially if, it's not like he knows who invites him, but if he says yes and it's Carolyn, who he's already friends with, I think they would work well together.
I agree with that. We'll do one question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm Carolyn. I'm picking Dylan.
I like that. From Destiny Michelle, this is good because we all got our Eagles stuff on. Which Eagles player would be a good traitor?
Oh.
I think Jordan Mailata.
Oh, I like Jordan. That's a good one. I like that.
Jalen Hurts would be really funny because he shows no emotions.
He'd be a tough traitor to crack. No, fuck that, dude. Give me Slay. Big play Slay would be a delight to watch on this show. He'd be awesome. Fair. Or no, dude, CJ.
Oh my god, yeah, he'd be great.
I think Saquon could do it too.
Saquon, the whole team.
He's so nice, though. Saquon's so nice that I think that would be a detriment.
Carolyn's really nice too.
That's a good point. Point. I think we need to reach out to the Eagles and get this moving. Traitors NFL edition. But I know you got to run. You got something to do at noon, but we really appreciate you coming out. This was a blast.
Anytime you guys want me to recap Traitors, I'm down. Thank you. Awesome. This was so fun. I love you both.
We'll get you on for a reunion episode.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. And in the meantime, we will get our cheetah pants in solidarity and march on Fido.
Underwear, everything.
I'll be cheetah head to toe, pal. All right, dude. Thanks again. See you.